The reading I'm going to be doing this morning is from the book Freedom Is by Brandon Weiss. When we become attached to something, or someone in our lives, most often it's because deep down we fear we wouldn't be complete without them. We fear that if we let certain particular things, people, thoughts, or identities go, we would plunge into the presence of the unknown, alone, lost, and bereft. These attachments are sometimes held so closely that we don't even see them as attachments, and we begin to experience them as our actual identity. The things that make up our identity can feel so real that without them, we fear we would be nothing. We fear non-existence. Even simply asking the question, who would I be without my car, job, money, spouse, family, profession, material possessions, home and friends, causes an internal scrambling and need to cling to something. In fact, attachments often feel like an essential part of our individual identity. Attachment to outer things is not the only attachment we have in our lives. There is a subtler, equally powerful, and more insidious attachment that happens in our inner lives. Attachment to our thoughts, acquired knowledge, and learned beliefs. When we cast off everything we think is true, all that we know, freedom finally becomes available in the unknown. It is only when we let go of all our knowledge that infinite wisdom can reveal itself.
So this morning I want to talk about, well, my talk title is Real Freedom is Having Nothing. And we've talked a lot, I've talked a lot, about material things and how we tend to define ourselves through our material things. And Sue read a little bit about that moments ago, about our cars, about our jobs, about those labels and all of those wonderful things that we attach to. This morning, though, I want to talk about the attachment we have to our inner lives, to those preconceived ideas, to those thoughts, those ideas, those perceptions that we have about ourselves and about life. Because those have just as much of an influence on us as those outward material things. And as we open up to that, we can open up to that freedom. We can be in that space of the unknown, of the mystery of life. So I want to tell you a story, a very short story about a young Buddhist monk who was really just learning. And he went to his master and he said, "Master, is it proper for a monk to use email?" And his master said, "Well, of course, my son, as long as there are no attachments." Okay, we didn't get the drum, but that's okay. I know, that one was silly. So, those thoughts, our thoughts, our acquired knowledge, our preconceived ideas, our learned beliefs, those are the attachments that we have to our inner lives. And we tend to hold on to them quite tightly. Sometimes we're holding on to them so tightly, we believe them so long, we don't even realize we're holding on to them tightly. Make sense? So our life experiences, whether it's training, whether it's schooling where we have achieved great success, or maybe we have this fabulous expertise in a particular area. And those life experiences give rise to those beliefs that we've come to hold on to as an absolute truth. We hold on to the idea that it worked then, it worked then, it worked then, it will always work. Right? It's always going to be the right choice to make in a particular situation. We don't question those beliefs after a while. We just know that they're true. And we become very attached, subtle as it may be, to those beliefs. And when those beliefs and those ideas and thoughts go in question, they begin to reflect a very concrete reality for us. And we live in a fishbowl. Right? If we have and hold a belief that our view of the world is really the way things are, yikes, right? Talk about being constricted. And when we have that idea, we're giving ourselves permission, subtly again, but we're giving ourselves permission to stop exploring life, to stop expanding, to be done with the questioning and just allow things to be as they are with blinders. We'll feel like there's no longer a need to see life any differently than we know it because after all, we have our beliefs that we can fall back on and those preconceived thoughts. And if that happens, or when that happens, our curiosity gets completely stifled. And we're just right here. And then our natural awe and wonder, our God-given awe and wonder, seem to be put under the carpet, over on the wayside, and forgotten. And at that point, our known is born entirely from what we've experienced before that moment. Generally from our long forgotten past. And when we hold on to those ideas and those thoughts, we are then adding to that repertoire of baggage that we're carrying around. Because we're dragging around those beliefs and those certainties, holding really fast to them. And we forget to question, are they still valid now in my life, today? Are they usable? Are those ideas still usable and have value? Those are kind of things that we really want to question. And that, if we don't question, that is what will keep us from experiencing that freedom and the grace and the truth right here and right now. That prevents us from experiencing life to its absolute fullest, because we're seeing, we would at that point be seeing life through our filters. And we spend a lot of our adult time trying to get rid of those filters, don't we? When we see life through filters, life is going on all around us, joyfully and miraculously, and all these fabulous things are happening, and our focus is here. And we miss it all. And isn't that too bad? Life is supposed to be joyful and wonderful. We are supposed to be, we are supposed to be, I don't like that word, I don't like shouldn't, I don't like supposed to. We are here to experience the joy and the wonder and the awe of every single moment of every single day of our life. That's why we're here. Purana Dala said this, listen to the subtleties of your own spirit. You are being spoken to in every moment. You are being guided in every moment. And that is the truth. And the way we hear that guidance, the way we hear spirit, is by opening up, by releasing all that junk, by letting go of those filters and opening our eyes, our God eyes, so we can really see the truth. True freedom can only be experienced in the emptiness of non-attachment. Non-attachment to ideas, to beliefs, to our acquired knowledge. And those things are only mental constructs. Do you realize that? They're only in our head. And those constructs are generated from our past experience. That doesn't have to be true today. And when we get caught up in that, it takes our attention away from what's going on right here and right now. It takes away from the newness of each and every single present moment that life has given us as a gift. We'll know that we're free when we can put aside all of our knowing, all of our conditioning, all of our hard work, and let go of what we think we know. How many times have you said, oh, well, I know. I absolutely know the truth about this particular thing, and then not. May have been true for you once, doesn't mean it's true for everybody. We are called to let go of the idea of how things should be, so we can remain open to that innocence, that emptiness of the unknown. That's when magic happens, is being in that unknown, not knowing what's next. That's the magic that children know intuitively. Don't you love how children find bugs and insects and just any kind of creatures, and they can stare at them for hours upon hours? They're so excited that this thing has multiple legs, or that it has a beautiful set of wings, that these creatures actually exist on this planet. I know you've all experienced that. They're just live in that space of amazement. And when was the last time maybe we did that? Looked at something with new, fresh eyes, without preconceived ideas going in. The limitations that we experience are only and always in accordance with the boundaries that we have set for ourselves. We set those boundaries through our beliefs. And as time goes on, and if we adhere to those beliefs, we come to believe that those boundaries are real. They may as well be a solid wall. Because we have convinced ourselves that that's it. That's as far as we can go. When we buy into that our beliefs are absolute, then we risk having them become really rigid and inflexible. And we have a difficult time seeing through those beliefs when there might be what we perceive as obstacles present. We can't see beyond those obstacles because it's outside of our experience. We can entangle ourselves so tightly in our own truth that it becomes a challenge to see the real truth. And I say that with a capital T. We become so caught up in the humanness of who we are. We forget that we are spirit at our very core, expressing in this physical form as a human being. When we condition ourselves to interpret our experiences in a particular way, then guess what? We're going to react to them in a particular way. Makes sense, right? Our mind is so powerful that those reactions can become triggered by, maybe by words, encounters we have with people, relationships that we're involved in. Those things get triggered. And as we learn to identify with and from our spirit, our soul, we become free of those human limitations that we have set up for ourselves. When we become aware of our choices and our interpretations, our labels, our beliefs, our ideas, we can experience freedom and we can let all that go and just open up and just be. We can be free from what others think. We can be free from caring about how other people act or react. We can have the freedom to be, do, and have whatever it is that our heart is calling us to do. We have the freedom to choose higher for ourselves and not place limitations of any kind based on our old belief system. We don't have to be stuck there. That's really good news. Learning to identify with spirit allows us that absolute, that complete freedom. Because what we do then is we move into trust. We trust life. We surrender to what is in front of us and what's going on in the moment. Does that mean we like it? Not necessarily. It does mean non-resistance and non-attachment to what's happening. Maybe even non-attachment to the outcome on the other side of that. As our perception I find this really cool. Because as our perception of life expands, guess what? So does our inner potential. It can't help it. We open up. Life opens up. We are absolutely limitless beings. And the expansion of consciousness, yours, mine, and everybody's, is absolutely the divine plan. Expansion of our awareness of who we are. To be joyful from that soul level, to experience the freedom that I'm talking about, happens when we're in the flow with life. When we're not in resistance, when we're not struggling with what is. And if we want life to remain fresh and new, it is essential at that point to break away from any of those patterns that we've established, any of those ideas and beliefs that are old and probably outdated. And what you're going to find is this: if you want life to remain fresh and new, and let go of what isn't real in your life, you will find what is real. And what is real? God, Source, Spirit, all it is, whatever we want to call that. That's what's real. And if we can let go of that, it's always been this way thinking, we allow ourselves then to come from a place to choose higher, to choose peace and faith over fear and doubt, to choose gratitude and forgiveness over greed and bitterness, to choose love and expectation over anger and grief. And who doesn't want that? As we shed our beliefs and judgments, we can open up to the unknown, open up to that mystery, open up to that magic of life. Because that's what life wants to give us. We open up to complete non-resistance, and that is where we find God, Source, all it is, in that non-resistance. We are here on this planet to awaken, to reflect, to observe, and to know the unfolding of Spirit in our lives. And whatever way life changes for us, it's so essential for us to know and realize that we have that innate wisdom and the ability to adapt to it. We absolutely do, no question about it. We have that innate wisdom. And our connection to Source allows us to learn through each and every experience that we have while we're here on this planet. No matter how it shows up. No matter what it looks like, whether we like it or not. Our human form and this existence here on this planet is transitory, isn't it? And we all know that intellectually. Reality, truth, that tells us there's no permanence here. So the idea of owning and hanging on to things is an illusion of our physical world in reality. And when we can see through that illusion, that's where that fearlessness lies. We can see this earthly experience as a journey, as a transition in a sensory realm. And then we can become willing and open to learning those lessons that are given to us, that are in front of us, no matter what those lessons may be. Acceptance is the first step in this transformation. And by acceptance, I don't mean resignation and I don't mean agreement. I mean simply allowing things to be as they are without that struggle, without that fight. And when we accept ourselves and others and life just the way it is, we can create a real sense of peace. It's probably the only way we can create that real sense of peace and let go of any suffering. And from that place of peace and from truth, we're more able to appreciate life and begin to manifest the kind of circumstances, relationships, and outcomes that we want to have in our life experience. Freedom comes from finding that our real essence is indeed that joyful field of infinite consciousness that animates all of creation. So I'd like to close this morning with a short excerpt from Brandon Bay's Freedom Is. She said, when we live in non-attachment, our life experience doesn't vanish. Our learning doesn't disappear, nor does our physical world evaporate. These things remain, and we stay wide open and allow all of the play of manifestation to dance lightly through our open awareness. And so thank you so much for being here while I share this truth as I understand it.